everybody. I hope you're ready to draw tonight. We got a fun topic. Um, this is, if you don't know, this is Drawing Hive. And if you don't remember, it's brought to you by Visual Arts Passage. What we do at Visual Arts Passage, we create mentorships and help people develop their careers by helping them, assisting them with professional portfolios and a body of work to work as painters and illustrators. And we do a very, very good job with it. So check us out if you haven't before. We will certainly help you get your career started. So tonight, we thought it'd be fun to do something that's just silly. So the Muppets, Mr. Jim Henson there, and we have some really fun reference. My favorite, Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. Those are by far my two favorite. I like Bert and Ernie a lot too, but I've just always loved Miss Piggy's attitude, and Kermit the Frog couldn't be a sweeter being on the earth. So check out Kermit, Fozzie Bear, Animal.
My favorite.
Yes.
Love Animal.
You know, I like Animal too, but somebody I don't likes Animal a lot, so I can't like him. It's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, it is.
And then of course Bert and Ernie.
All right.
We're gonna do four poses, three poses, two 20-minute poses and one 40-minute pose. You can draw them all, you can focus on one of them. Should be a fun night. And I think we're set to draw, Timmy.
All right, let's do it. And I'm going to drop a link to the hashtag for the night and all the photo reference and everything. Please draw along with us and share your work. You can share your work on Instagram, and we will check it out at the end of the night. It's my favorite part of the show. And also, like, a lot of people have already posted stuff for this app, and it's
awesome.
It's really good stuff. So don't skip it. This is a good one. Yeah. And I know Adam's coming in pretty soon, so we're gonna have more people on the panel as well.
Timmy, are you sharing?
I'm not. Something wrong?
No, I just wanted to stop sharing my side.
Oh yeah, no, I stopped it.
Okay, cool.
All right. And if everyone behaves, I'm gonna open up the chat. We'll
Don't
see.
make Dad mad.
Yeah, I know. I said it too soon, so whoever's lurking is gonna strike right when I open it. All right, photo reference in the chat. This will be a good one. And we took a whole week off. We haven't been met up since Halloween. It feels like it's been forever.
It does feel like forever.
Yeah. How did Halloween go, Cassandra? Take the kids out?
Oh yeah, we had so much fun. We have like a common clubhouse in a neighborhood, and so a whole bunch of the neighbors were there with candy, so we like stopped by there, and then that was a hoot. And then we went by, like, so we have a very quiet neighborhood.
Yeah.
So like we know everybody, so it's just fun to show up at houses, and like they remember all the girls' costumes, so it's really sweet.
That's awesome. My buddy was telling me he's got two boys and they're like 8 and 10 or something, but he took all the whole crew out, like all their friends and everything. And he goes, and I took him to like the nice, like a whole candy bar neighborhood, you know? And yeah, right. And he goes, and they started off, it was normal. It was just doorbell ringing, trick or treat, they get their candy and they go to the next house. And then he goes, and then at one point it became a race. And he goes, and for whatever reason, he's like, I had to keep stopping them and be like, guys, that's not what this is about. And he just said they were just sprinting house to house. And he's like, and he's like, you have to, as the adult that's been in charge of all these kids, you're like, I got to keep up with them. So, yeah. I kind of remember that though. I do think that like trick-or-treating devolves into a race for all for all kids.
That, and like, how you also weigh each other's bags, like who has the heavier bag is the winner.
Yeah, I get that one, the heavier bag. Yeah. Whole candy
I feel like
bar.
that was what you know, my brothers and I, how we determined who was better, whoever had the heavier
Mhm.
bag.
Yeah. Did you guys have a favorite? I know it was over a week ago, but did you have a favorite candy?
Oh, you know what's interesting? My kids like the fruit gummy candies more than the chocolates, it seems like. They, you know, they get excited
Mm.
about the the Skittles and the Sour Patch and the gummy bears, and I'm like wanting to steal their Twix and things like that.
Yeah,
Gian
that's
always,
easy. Just take all the stuff
yeah,
they don't like.
And
yeah.
when they get tired, they don't notice, right? Hey,
We got
Adam.
Adam. We got Adam
Adam,
Hey,
here.
howdy everybody.
howdy, howdy.
So
I
I'm
was,
drawing animal, but have you guys ever
Mhm.
listened to the Muppets Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh yeah, it's so good.
It's so good.
I love
Oh,
the
yes.
Muppets. Love, absolutely love the Muppets. Um,
My favorite.
Gianna actually reminded me the Muppets is my dad has only ever taken me to two movies in my entire life, like where we like went to the theater and everything. And the first movie he took us to was Muppet Treasure Island. And
Oh, that's such a good one.
yeah, and this is so funny because my dad was not typically left in charge of the children.
Hmm.
Um, not because he wasn't involved. It was just it was a he was running a business. He was in over his head on a lot of stuff
It's a
before.
safety issue.
Yeah, it was a safety issue. Also, like it was just safer. It was just safer for us to be with other adults. But there's a photo of it that is hilarious. I need to see if I can find it because it in one photo it demonstrates how little he understands about young children. And he took us to a movie theater, and I am like 8. My little or no, I must have been like 6. My little brother's like 4, older brother's there, and he's holding each of us, all 3 little bros and my dad, each of us have like extra large buckets of popcorn, each of us.
Dang,
and
you made
and
out.
he's holding a bucket of popcorn, but he's also holding my little brother who's like 5, and Tony is also holding his own bucket. And it was just absurd. It was like my mom would have been like, like one of those buckets is enough for like 8 of them. But yeah, uh,
Yeah, that's
this
better
is
than like 32 ounces of or 64 ounces of some kind of caffeinated drink.
I mean, I'd be
I
lying if I
imagine that
said,
was there too, John.
yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think that was probably in the equation. No, and then the next time he took us to a movie, he took us to go see is it Woody Allen's Ants? Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Right? Like it came out at the same time of Bug's Life, I think came out.
Oh,
It was like
yeah.
dueling movies about animated ants. So he took us to that, and he was not interested in an animated movie. So he was like, I'll drop them off in this theater and I'll go watch the like 3.5 hour Saving Private Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
So our movie ended, and then it was
Halfway
like,
through his.
yeah, like halfway through his. And then I remember each of us, we just sitting in the like in the hallways of this theater, and one of us would go in and be like, Dad, is it almost over? Like, during one of like the most terrifying movies for like we're just
Oh
these
my
little kids
gosh.
sneaking into
That's a little
Saving Private Ryan.
traumatizing.
I don't remember it at all. I just remember somebody yelling at us, being like, "Quit talking," because we were like asking our dad, and kids are like way louder than they think,
Right. There's the kid
and then my
whisperer,
dad,
which
and then my dad
isn't.
snapped back and be like, "Don't talk to my kids," you know. But yeah, so that's my most special Muppet memory. Yeah. So
That's
what
hilarious.
Muppets? What because um were Muppets part of all of our like were they around for all of our childhoods?
Heck yeah.
John, were the Muppets?
Well,
Do they go back that far?
I actually
I
knew.
don't know how the right way to say it. That was the wrong way to say it though, for sure.
Now they were around for most of mine.
Yeah.
Um, I also remember when Sesame Street came out,
Yeah.
and there was a art an artist that lived in our town named Mike Smolin. He did a lot of the original Sesame Street books and stuff. Um, and so yeah, I've been aware of that for a long time. And I think the year I moved to Kansas City, my dad had like this photo shoot. Jim Henson was at Hallmark. And so they did this photo shoot of my dad and Miss Piggy. And it was pretty cool. I tried to find some of the shots for it tonight. I couldn't find them.
I
did
remember
not
you telling
end
me
up
that,
with-
and I'm insanely jealous.
Yeah, I didn't end up with them, but I have a good idea where they are.
Like
I was-
growing up, Christmas wasn't
Yeah.
Christmas without John Denver and the Muppets.
Yeah.
I was looking up a good Muppet quote and it's funny because the quote I went with, I knew we're gonna open, which is like the chef. But you'll like this because you're a fan of Miss Piggy. I thought this quote was hilarious. Beauty is all about loving who you are, and if you have a problem with that, I suggest you try loving who I am.
Ooh, I like that.
Miss Piggy
That
is
is
pretty good.
sassy.
There is only one Miss Piggy, and she is moi. Yeah, it's pretty great.
She was fabulous. Or is fabulous.
They tried to revive it a couple years ago, and I think it, for whatever reason, catch on. But man, such a great. What?
Well, the one with Jason Segel was very successful.
I meant like they tried to revive the Muppet Show.
Oh,
Yeah, I think the movies we're gonna keep seeing them. You know, I think it's strong, totally. The Jason Segel one is so sweet because I don't know if it's general knowledge, but he is like a Muppet.
Oh,
obsessed.
yeah.
Big Muppet fan.
It's hard for the Muppets to compete with Marvel. You know, it's just,
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
I know.
I don't know. They've
yet
got
it does, though.
they got staying power.
In my book it does.
Yeah, it does.
A lot more interest in that.
Yeah. Talk about some world building too.
Mm-hmm.
You all know much about Jim Henson?
A little bit.
I know
Yeah, I mean, I know how he
very,
got
very
started.
little. I know very little.
He started
certainly
with
believed-
commercials.
Truly? Really?
Yeah, his Muppets were for commercials initially,
Yeah.
and they were really successful.
What was that, Adam?
I said Rolf the dog, I think, is actually the first one.
Yeah, that's right.
The piano playing dog.
Yeah. I actually just saw a Rolf the dog quote. Why does everyone always blame dogs? That's funny.
I raised my own children on DVDs of the 1970s Muppet Show.
That's great.
Um,
Did they connect with it?
my oldest, like, he totally bonded with Harry Belafonte, like,
Oh.
Really?
so many times.
I'm glad you raised him right, Adam.
Cassandra, have you or Adam, I guess, or John, because you've all gone through the experience of having kids and then being like I think about this with my nephew. I'm like so excited to show him something like as soon as he's old enough to like be kind of like amazed by the thing that I connected with. There's a bit of anxiety of like, what if it just doesn't connect, you know?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Like, because I've had more than one person tell me that about two things, E.T. and Star Wars. Like the
Yeah,
original,
no, I'm not
the
even
original
trying
Star Wars,
E.T..
right? Now I'm not talking about like new franchise Star Wars. I'm talking about like A New Hope, you know?
Yeah. You know, I think it's easier for parents than aunts and uncles in a way. I've only been thinking about this as long as you've been saying it, so you can tell it's a pretty well thought out theory.
All right.
It's grandparents too, Adam.
That's
Um,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, what I was thinking was like for my kids, like I think the things that I loved the most growing up as a kid, like must have informed such big parts of my personality and how what my sense of humor when dealing with my kids or things like that would be. So that when I would introduce them to things that I loved as a kid, they weren't strange and alien
Yeah.
and stuff. They sort of like all looked like the kinds of things that their dad would like.
Yeah.
So it made sense. Whereas if it's someone that you don't see as as much, or I don't know, but it can be sort of like a little more alien because it's not someone you deal with every day that you'll see, the Muppets in.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I was really excited when I was uh, babysitting. This was about a month ago for my granddaughter, almost 3-year-old granddaughter, that her mom, my daughter, was saying, "Oh, Dad, she only likes this and this and this." And I'm like, okay. And I didn't like this and this and this that much. So I thought, well, it's a good time to introduce her to Jungle Book. And I got her hooked on Jungle Book. And I was really proud of myself for that.
Congratulations. It's exciting when you can get them hooked on something you know and love.
Yeah.
This is really very sweet. So my nephew loves Mickey, right? Mickey Mouse. And I'm talking about like new Mickey, like not some of the best content, right?
Right.
Right. Like it's pretty mind numbing, kind of like I don't know. And Tony, my brother, doesn't always enjoy like watching it. And at one point, Tony, to like me or my mom or something, he just was like, you don't think the 3-year-old's listening to you, right? And he at some point was just like, man, I've had enough of this, this like new age Mickey. The stories aren't fun, it's just, there's there's a way less work that goes into the new stuff than it did like even 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's a machine. And he said that, and it was like a couple days later, Tony was like, "Hey, man, what do you want to watch? How about you want to watch Mickey?" And he was like, "No, I don't like Mickey." And he's like, "No, come on, you love Mickey." And he was like, "No, I don't like Mickey." And he's like, "Why don't you like Mickey anymore?" And he's like, "You don't like Mickey, right?" And Tony's like, "Oh, buddy, no, you get to like things you don't have to not like something just because I don't like it, It was kind of an interesting, like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They hear everything.
They do, yeah.
They hear everything.
Unless you like intentionally want them to, because I'll be like, "Hey, buddy, hey,
Oh,
buddy,
that's a
hey,
valid
buddy, hey,
point.
buddy." I'll be like,
Like,
"Hey,
get
hey,
your
I
shoes
love
on.
you."
Get your shoes on. Get your
No,
shoes on.
oh, and mine will be like, "Hey, I love you. I love you. I love you." Are you gonna say it back?
My brother has a thing where he just mumbles, "Do you guys
Yeah.
want ice cream?" When he's having trouble getting people to hear him,
Ooh,
and then suddenly everyone hears him,
yeah,
and then.
yeah.
But he said it's almost scientific in how mumbling, "You guys want ice cream," suddenly everyone's hearing perks up in ways that are like almost medically unexplainable.
Yeah. My nephew is so funny. I can already tell, like, if I have kids, like this show, like Drawing Hive will become intolerable because I'll just talk about how hilarious they are. Yeah.
It won't be.
You'll be talking about my emotional peers. I'm totally down with people talking about hilarious children all the time.
Cassandra, that's awesome.
Thanks.
What are you guys treating these any differently than if it were not a puppet?
No.
No, I think I'm actually even trying to treat Animal even more like he's a person.
Oh, really? I like that. Yeah.
I think I'm treating him with like more respect than some of my usual portrait people.
Yeah. I always think of the like from what I can tell, largely digital artist Dan Luvisi. John, you know Dan, right?
Yeah.
He did these like really twisted, like kind of like hyper real versions of the Muppets. But it would be like Bert and Ernie, like in the context of like Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver. Or like, yeah, it would be like Tony the Tiger in front of like a mug shot of Tony the Tiger,
He wailed on The Simpsons.
Yeah, he did some good stuff with The Simpsons too. He had some pretty awesome conceptual stuff. I think I don't remember the context of it like professionally, but I remember he did a lot of work for like a standalone Boba the Fett series, or at least that's how I remember it. But it was really cool because it was the images he posted were like of Boba Fett like fighting his way out of the Sarlacc pit.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was gruesome. But it was cool.
I mean, I guess you got 1,000 years to kill to do that, but still, that's the fight.
Yeah, I don't remember the backstory, but it clearly started with, him getting out of that Sarlacc pit. Like, yeah, that's step one of that story.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody called it Muppet Hive. Like that. That would have been fun if we had made some Muppet versions of ourselves.
Oh, that'd be so cool. That's something I think would be fun to learn, is how to make a puppet, like a good puppet, like a Muppet.
Oh, Cassandra, what are the odds you don't do that during your career?
I'm gonna do it at some point, just like at home.
Right.
Email will be delighted if I greet him at the door with it.
Yeah. Everybody, I have the chat open, by the way. If it has to close, it'll close real fast. But let us know where you're drawing with us from, or where you're drawing from.
Oh yeah, I always love hearing where everybody is.
Yeah. Always fun. The first Muppets Xander shared, and they look wild.
Oh yeah.
They
I
definitely
feel like the one on the left is a little questionable in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, when I'm like looking at them, I'm like, can I share these? I'm
It's
so
not a
glad you
safe
said,
shape.
I'm so glad you said that, Cassandra, because now I am not gonna share them. Yeah, I get demonetized
You're
on
welcome. You're welcome, everybody, for that.
Thanks, Cassandra.
Cassandra
Wah,
saved
wah,
the
wah,
day.
wah, wah,
I'm
wah.
just glad you're here at the top of the show.
Right.
The mother in the room.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
I blame art school for always identifying those shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Some cool people from all over drawing with us. That's great.
Ooh, awesome.
Man, this animal is great. I love it.
Well, the markers are perfect because they're the bright colors I needed. I don't have to mix them now.
Which set of markers are you using tonight?
I'm using the grabby ones because they can give me the quick colors, but I have the other ones nearby if I wanted to play with those too.
That's your big sponsor, right? Grabby.
Well, they sent me one free pack. I don't know about big sponsor.
Yeah. No free rides at drawing.
It's not big, it's biggest.
Yeah, biggest. Yeah, grabby. No free rides here. We're gonna need another pack to call you a sponsor.
Yep. Send me more supplies.
Yeah. We'll hold off on saying how much we like them.
Obviously, I like them because they're so
Yeah.
fun. I play with them nonstop in here. So like they do good things. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's all is this a Drawing Hive binder?
yeah,
Or
well, this
journal?
is
Sorry.
the stone paper, and I found it's the best for the paint markers. So
Yeah.
yeah, I tried the alcohol markers in here just to see, and it worked okay, but it was a weird texture.
Wow.
So I like playing with all of them.
I think it's so funny that anybody that has like a Drawing Hive journal, if it's ever found like, generations from now, people will be like, this artist was all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. They're gonna think I'm a total wackadoo with everything I'm choosing to draw.
She was
Or just
prolific.
my cardboard style pile.
She was prolific and random.
But an amazing socialite.
Yeah.
All these people you hung out with and drew.
That's great. I'm gonna be curious as to. It's been kind of fun that I can tell that people are. I always like to see all the images drawn, but I can tell that there's a certain cohort that like picks their favorite. And so it's always interesting every Thursday to see which image like is the most popular.
Right, which one wins?
Which image wins. It's clearly there's a winner. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you guys have a guess as to who will be the winner tonight?
I'm going to guess animal.
I could see Animal cleaning up. It's true to Fozzie that Fozzie will definitely lose.
You know, and I almost like, and I'm hoping to get to Fozzie, like,
Yeah.
because I really liked the light that John got
Uh,
found on that reference.
I think Fozzie is actually the best Muppet and he's the most relatable.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys know that the deal with the Muppet Show is that the only reason Scooter has a job is because I think it's his uncle owns the theater.
Oh, really?
He got them the place that they can do the variety show at. And if you watch those like 70s, 70s into the 80s, like Kermit is so high strung. Like after Jim Henson passed away, I think that's the one thing that's like missing is
Really?
that for a while they sort of tried to actually the Jason Segel one gets him right again, but there's a long stretch where Kermit becomes this like nice guy everyman, like almost like a Charlie Brown.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
like he has the optimism for everybody else. You're right, but he was
Yeah,
really high strung.
right. But he's really like kind of like he's nice, but he's a little bit of a like an OCD megalomaniac,
He's a
and
I
warrior.
totally.
he's
Yeah.
just going crazy with all these things that are always going wrong on his show. And then you realize that Gonzo is actually a performance artist. He's not really an actor.
Oh, I love Gonzo and his chickens.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. This is how bad, this is pretty bad. I am just realizing that Bert and Ernie are Sesame Street.
Well, they're still like part of the same community.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that the Muppet and Sesame Street universes have crossed over.
Oh yeah, they used to cross over a
Oh, big
ton,
time.
especially in the early years.
Really?
And
Yeah.
Kermit had a regular part on Sesame Street.
Yep.
Oh, so
Mhm.
it's all the same universe.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so Bert and Ernie are Muppet canon. Yeah. John, are you ready for
Yeah.
your show? All
Yep.
right. I'm gonna give you your intro. I think I am. Hold on.
All right. So tonight, being lighthearted and some fun, I don't know, just different in how we're what we're drawing tonight. I thought, and I was thinking of an artist that would be really good to connect with, really good to talk about. And I remember this person quite well, Mary Blair. And I know that Adam and Cassandra are certainly well aware of Mary Blair.
Yes.
So I'd heard the name. I knew a little bit about her, but I went to the Disney Museum about 10 years ago and in San Francisco. And they're having a retrospective of her work. And it was really fascinating. And if you don't know, Mary's from Oklahoma, a very young age, moved from Oklahoma to Texas, and then eventually to California. She ended up going to what is now CalArts, Chenard Art Institute. And pretty quickly after she got done with school, she ran into her husband, who was a really well-known animator, painter, watercolorist, Lee Blair. And she started working for Disney around 1940. I think that's correct. Trying to remember all this stuff, put this stuff together. And she attributes a trip that she took with Walt Disney and a group of people to South America that really kind of established the color and the things that she's seen that opened her up and kind of helped her develop her personal voice. But here's some work from Cinderella.
I love her sense of
Wow.
style and shape and color so much.
Yeah,
John,
she was really, I mean, she was a concept artist.
what do you think
And
the mediums are?
a lot of gouache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
I think that's I think that's what I read most things were gouache and because acrylics, what Adam, you would know, and or you both would know. When did the acrylics people become popular?
Yeah.
Well, the
Right.
first painting it was known is 1934 of acrylic.
Yeah, so it was right around that time period.
Right. But it was sort of like
Cassandra.
using of industrial
You're
painting.
welcome.
I was gonna say Cassandra comes out with an exact year that
Was
was
it
first
June or
identified.
July? Because
Yeah,
I can't remember.
yeah, Cassandra.
Um,
That's
Right.
so
Like I
embarrassing.
genuinely knew that day.
It's
so
so you should be
so
so embarrassed you didn't know the exact month and day.
so what I find interesting was that, she was and I'll show some at the end, she was a very good watercolorist. Both her and her husband were part of the California Watercolor Society. And he, more than her, really dug into it and painted a lot of the things that a lot of beautiful, beautiful landscape. She um, did both, but was much more about the narrative and much more about being a viz dev artist and just absolutely fantastic. So I know a lot of this stuff was watercolor at the beginning. I know a lot of it was watercolor and gouache. Some character design from Cinderella. This is one of my,
Oh,
this really looks like gouache. Um, this, one of my,
It's also some. I think she also used pastel too.
okay. I'll agree. When were pastels created, Cassandra? I mean, just
I
kidding.
don't have that year. I apologize.
Totally kidding. More Cinderella work. This is from It's a Small World from the theme park. And she painted these huge murals. It was really pretty different from a lot of other things that she did. And then, of
He
course,
loved
Peter
her
Pan,
pattern.
the lagoon, the mermaid scene in Peter Pan. The Mermaid Lagoon, I think, is the scene that they called it.
Love that.
so
There's some great character design. Now, this is part of the stuff, some of the paintings that she did that she was inspired by being in South America, traveling to different countries there. I think that's so important, what inspired her to really develop that voice. And these are the things that inspired her to go from the landscape painting to to get into that visual narrative. This really encouraged her in her visual direction.
John, do you have an idea as to what era that trip took place?
1940.
Wow.
They said soon after 1940. I think that's right. Let's see. I'm looking for it. I have notes on it.
I have one of her books. You keep talking and I'll look it up.
Oh yeah, you don't have to be exact about it. I was just curious because I just thought I just think it's so interesting that artists, it's like we talk with new artists all the time, and it's like the best things you can invest in. It's like one, education and travel, right?
Right.
1941.
Okay. So, and that's right around the time she had joined Disney. It's one of the first things that she did was go on that trip. And that was a huge inspiration for her. She was only with Disney till 1953. And then she started pursuing her own children's books and painting. And then you're going to see a bunch of Alice in Wonderland. Now, this is from the book, and then there's things from the book and from the animation.
I also had read about that some of her stuff was collage too.
Oh,
That
wow.
she'd
I could see that.
book.
Such fun stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
She's got such an amazing like use of scale. Funny, I was going to comment on her use of scale in all of her
And there
elements.
you go.
Oh my gosh, that is perfect timing. Natalie.
Yeah,
God.
that's just lovely.
But it's just kind of interesting. You know, you can look at these and like look at how small her focal point is at some times,
Right.
and you just know where to go, and there still manages to be something interesting everywhere.
So true.
One of my favorites of hers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I followed up. These were some of the landscape paintings that she was doing, the thing that she was and she continued to do it later, but she really dug into this stuff right out of art school and looking at the Watercolor Society there.
Wow.
It's a really nice piece. I think this is very well done.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my
A great
that's my
pick.
bid
I love
tonight.
it.
I just
Wow.
thought that would be a fun one for tonight. And,
Great job. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
when I saw that stuff, like a lot of originals of her work, I mean, it really did affect me. And it's not, it's not what I would naturally gravitate for, but you could just see how good she was. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's what crumbles.
But like, I have her book. Like, I'm in my studio tonight, so I have her book that I love.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and just like her use of pattern is just so cool.
I got that book at the retrospective. Yeah, it's a great book.
It's a great book. I found it used, and and I got a great deal on it. And I just drool over the choices she makes. So fun.
Wow. There was a good question. A question we may or may not be able to answer, but how can I learn about the influence, if there happens to be, of Cubism on these 20th century illustrators? It's so interesting to see what the relationships were or how the influence might have gradually set in. It seems like there's a lot of abstraction. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Ask the very first part of that again. How can I learn about what?
It's there to pick influence.
Timmy, I'm sorry, you broke up a bit
Yeah,
there.
you broke
Oh,
up there,
truly?
Timmy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying that there's an influence of Cubism that they saw perhaps, and I guess do you see any of that?
Yeah, I can see the
Yeah.
influence
Sure.
of that.
Yeah. And how would you maybe learn about more like where do you is there anything you'd want to share or elaborate on that?
I could talk about that all night. I won't, but I'll
Maybe elaborated on it in
Sure.
reference to that.
Well,
Sorry.
I think it's generally, I think that especially that time period, there was so much movement, there's so much different new things happening in the fine arts world. And illustrators have always looked at it, have always, leaned on, all the way from, very early on in the art world, and following the different movements. My father's heroes were all impressionists and post-impressionists when he started, but then he kind of followed along. He kind of moved through art history in the same way I have. It's like just really understand what's happened with art history. I think that illustrators are constantly leaning into the fine artists. Doesn't necessarily happen the other way around that much. I just think it's such a great resource and great inspiration for people to lean into. You can see the Cuban and the effect that Cuban had effect on the great Gary Kelly. You can almost name any illustrator and look at and figure out who they were inspired by. some other illustrators and some others from the fine arts world. Cassandra and Adam, I'm sure you can add to that.
Yeah, I
Yep.
with it, like pop culture stuff of that, like mid 20th century. There's this, if you look at Bugs Bunny cartoons, there's this amazing switch that happens in the backgrounds where they suddenly become like very, very cubist. There'll be still life items in the background that are drawn like a Picasso still life. And the landscapes, and I think that every time I see the landscapes in the back of the Roadrunner too. But I think it was, like you said, it's this pervasive force, cultural force in art at through that part of the century. That, yeah, it's hard. It would almost seem almost like malpractice to not grab onto it and see what potential it had in these more commercial parts of the art world.
Well, and it was everywhere. I mean, I think that's just like stuff we're seeing right now influences the way we work because it's just everywhere. We can't help but be influenced by it. And it was I mean, nobody didn't know about Picasso. He was so big in Brock, like it was everywhere. John, I think you just nailed it perfectly in explaining it.
I
Yeah.
want to tell everybody, please move on to the next pose. Our long pose was our first pose. That's okay. Please move on to the next one. It's hashtag Drawing Hive 226. And at Visual Arts Passage, please make sure those tags are in your post. We're going to check it out at the end of the episode. This next one is going to be a tight 20. So don't waste any time on it.
Unless you're one of these no account panelist rule breakers.
Yeah.
Don't
Lame, taking
like
your
that.
time. No, moving on.
I mean, we take like 1 week off and I completely forget about the time constraints. I literally was like, oh, I only went 20 minutes over.
You like his? Oh,
John, what are you doing now, John?
Not sure. I'm just dumping a kind of an acrylic wash over what I'm doing, over the underpainting that I did in acrylic and just kind of pulling it together a little bit more before I do I was going to go back into it with other materials. It's a lot darker in real life than it is on camera. Everything seems like I can see through
yeah.
I can
Yeah,
see through the wash really well, and it doesn't look that way.
Yeah, it's just contrast. You got that white background. It's just having trouble with probably the depth of the
Yeah,
exposure.
but this, look how blown out my hand is.
Right.
This value is so much darker of Miss Piggy there.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I want it. I should have maybe put more darks in before I did this, but I guess
Yeah.
I still could. But anyway,
Pencil you're using.
What was that?
Timmy broke up again there. Now I'll tell everybody like really fun conversations I had today. I got one of my favorite things to do is when our guest speakers come into our program into Visual Arts Passage. And this weekend we have we have Tony Rodriguez
there
and Francis Vallejo. And so I got to call them and do a tech check and get everything like all, make sure everybody's in the right place. But just catch up with them and talk to them. They were past students, and I get to talk with them, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year probably. And just, I don't know, that's one of my favorite things to do. It's just
That's
keep up,
awesome.
Yeah.
keep up with people that are, in this for the long haul.
Oh, that is a great experience.
It's fun to do.
Adam, what pencil are you using? Or what pencil are you using?
So I was using a so I got this lead holder that I was using a Cretacolor Narrow Black, which is this. It looks like charcoal, but it's actually graphite. But it's a very matte black one. And then I've got they make like a sanguine color as well that I was using and then using some watercolor and gouache on top of.
Nice.
And I started using those sorts of things just because you almost never have to sharpen them. So if you
Well,
get
that's a
carried
dream.
away, you don't have to get out of your chair.
Right, your pencil sharpener isn't within arm's reach?
It is, but sometimes that's too far.
Okay. Curse my alligator arms.
That's right. Actually, what I do for pencil sharpeners now is
Did you say curse my alligator arms?
I did.
I take spice jars and then I cram
Hello.
a sharpener to the lid. Like
Oh,
a little
that's
sharpener.
Hello.
sorry. I'm it's me and the girls tonight.
This is great.
Hello.
You say hi, Mr. Adam. Hi, Mr. Timmy. Hi, Mr. John.
Hi, Mr. John. Hi, Mr. Adam. Hi, Mr. Timmy.
That's
Hi,
great.
Mr. Everybody.
They were
Are you-
quietly complimenting everybody's drawings, by the way. They really like
Oh, that's really sweet. Well, one thing I'll say is sorry that my audio is being weird. I swear I've got fast internet. I swear it's all
yeah,
set.
it just got a little blurby for a minute.
Yeah,
there.
I had to run and do a reset. I just want to tell everybody, if you have been considering our program, Visual Arts Passage, which if you don't know, if this is your first time joining, which I know we've got a few people who are first timers tonight, we always do Drawing Hive. It's always a free event. We try to ask questions. Please ask questions tonight. If you want help drawing, there's no question that's too fundamental. There's no question that's too advanced. We'll do our best to tackle everything. We always do this every Thursday, but what John and I do and what Adam and Cassandra, they teach for us is we always try to offer mentorships for illustrators and painters who are trying to find careers in these industries. And we offer courses that enroll on a quarterly basis. We're going to be enrolling pretty soon for the winter semester, which starts in January, specifically January 18th. And these courses are all about starting from start to finish, helping you develop the skills you need, giving you that tool belt to get you across the finish line, to make this your, like, the thing that you can do to support your livelihood, to make it a thing that you get to do every day and you get to love and enjoy doing. I want to say this though. We've got two exciting things to announce tonight, or maybe I'm going to say three.
Oh,
Yeah, three very exciting things. First of all, I think we alluded to this recently, but we're doing the biggest sale we've done in a very long time. Our typical sale every semester, we do an early bird sale. It's $200 off. For the past, I think it's been 3 years now. That's the most we ever give off. Is honestly, it's kind of difficult to give off more than that because we're given a ton of feedback. Like, it's the resources you get access to in these programs, which which is like one-on-one personal advice, guidance, and just like tons of support. It's a lot to give off more than 200. This semester, starting next week, November 12th, we're going to give off $400. And that's not the end of it. It's $400 off as long as you stay enrolled, which means you will only have to pay $800 a course, which these are extensive courses. They're 10 weeks long. You're getting 23 plus live meetups during that time. So well over 100 hours of connection, of like mentorship and talking and sharing your work and learning about other artists. You can maintain this sale as long as you stay enrolled. There's a student, the last time we did this, about I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, there's a student who signed up who has stayed enrolled. And in this process, they've saved like over $2,000. Like just by staying committed to that sale. So if you've ever considered signing up for Visual Arts Passage, this is the time to do it, because if you don't do it now, you are not going to get the $400 off. And I promise you, we're not going to do this again soon. There's just, it's honestly a questionable idea.
Well, that's like 4 classes for free. That's, you know, you're almost
Yeah,
half your semester off. That's amazing.
it's borderline a bad business idea. but to be totally frank, John and I have always like been, I don't know, we're really excited that when people can take these classes, and like there's nothing more exciting than when like someone starts their career, like gets their first job, or like makes that first leap into professional development, because like the teachers we were able to introduce them to enabled that. And so these courses are all about that. Wherever you're at as an artist, these courses are going to meet you there, and they're going to take you further on that journey. So whether or not you're like 10% away from where you need to be, or you're 90% away, like we've got a course for that. Okay.
Timmy,
Second,
the other
yeah,
big thing about that, the sale, is
yeah,
last time we did it, we sold every class out. So
yeah. I get stressed out about that. It sells out really fast. I never want to turn a student away, because I don't know. I mean, I saw a student today, like Shane Klusky, and you're like, you don't want to turn a student away because the class sold out, because you're like, I don't know. Like I get really excited and emotional when I see a student that's like, they have a career now. Like this is all they do
Yeah.
every day. They wake up and they draw, they paint, they do what they love, and they get to express themselves. And like, I don't know, they get to commit and contribute to culture in a way that a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And so, first of all, if you want to do that, I promise you, you have the ability. Like if that's something you want to do, never let anybody tell you that you can't do it. You can. Don't let anybody tell you like, oh, you don't get to do. Nobody's doing that successfully anymore, or anything like that. You can. You just need to meet the right people. You need to get the right help and the right guidance. And that comes in a lot of different forms. But I really confidently can say that we offer the best connection when it comes to that. And John's right, it will sell out. Secondly, we launched as of literally Drawing Hive started 15 minutes after I published this page on the website. Dustin Darnault, D. Arnault, is starting a class with us focused on visual development and character design.
Yay.
It's called Visual Storytelling with Environment and Character Design. So you're going to learn everything that goes into visual development and like visual storytelling, and like bringing an idea to life in movies, television, and animation using characters in an environment. And it is awesome. John and I've had a lot of conversations with Dustin lately. He was a special guest on the show, Drawing Hive, not too long ago. He's an amazing teacher. It's going to be killer. So
And he's done some amazing work.
the coolest stuff. If you're a fan of Ninja Turtles, you're going to be a huge fan of Dustin, because he was involved in, that like 98% Rotten Tomatoes Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, I
And
loved it.
just doing
Loved
like
it.
just like killer artwork for some of the biggest stuff out there. Um, and then the other cool thing is like this semester, the guest speaker bench is stacked. It is awesome. We've got like some crowd favorites. I'm going to share them just so people have a reference for the artwork. We've got Ravina Kai, an amazing cover artist. Really awesome. This is Ravina's first time joining us. Uh, Everybody knows Rainier. Rainier was a guest on the
Yay!
show
I'm so glad.
lately.
Rainer is a rock star.
Yeah, Rainier is going to be representing the gallery world strong. And then David Dibble is coming. David Dibble, here, I was actually conflicted. I was like, what artwork do I show that represents David? Because David does a ton of concept art stuff, but like a lot of his work is also like gallery paintings. It's amazing. Carla Ortiz. Carla is an incredible character designer. She most recently, as many of you may have seen in the news, and when I say character designer, like Carla is like a lead concept designer for some of the biggest films in the Marvel universe that have come out in the past 10 years. But what you may have seen Carla in the news most recently, Carla last year spoke to Congress to establish an understanding of the threats that AI poses to the creative industry. Got Wesley Burt, another super heavy hitter in the concept art world, whether it be like Magic the Gathering, Marvel. Wesley worked a ton on Black Panther. And then Vanessa Del Rey. Vanessa's awesome. Cuban-born artist, amazing in the comic scene, Marvel, Dark Horse. Has also worked on a lot of her own projects. Like, so you're gonna learn a ton about intellectual property. These are all artists you get access to when you join a program. And it's not like we're not like sending you a recording of them talking. Like you're gonna get to attend a lecture, and then we open the floor and we say, you know, like pick Wes's brain, ask him some questions, learn about what his day-to-day life is. We want you to connect with these people. We want it to be as much of a networking possibility, networking opportunity as possible. So, and then the last thing I want to say is we decided to anybody that attended Drawing Hive tonight, because John said like this sells out. We have a special place in our heart for people who attend Drawing Hive. Because first of all, y'all are doing your push-ups and sit-ups and you're just drawing. And we got a lot of strong supporters. So don't tell anybody, but I made the discount code live earlier today. And so if you use Cyber 400, it'll work now. So it's hush hush, don't tell anybody. But if you want to sign up, beat the rush, you can do it now. The code is Cyber 400. If you have any questions though, you're a little hesitant, we're going to keep that open until Sunday. Shoot me an email, call the school. It goes right to my phone. I'm happy to talk, answer any questions you have. I'll even give you John's phone number.
Appreciate that, Timmy.
All right, John. Yeah, you can pick his brain too. Yeah. But you have to, I'm the gatekeeper of John's phone number. Yeah. So anyways, I hope you all consider it, especially if you've been on the fence lately, do it now. Don't wait. We won't be able to offer this in the like next semester.
Pretty special community.
It really is. John and I talk to college, John talks to colleges. I just attend the talks. We talk with college students often, and that's one of the things we always try to hit home. It's just like, or at least I always try to emphasize that, where I'm like, no matter what you do, whether it's with us, whether it's with a different school, whether it's with your local community, it's like find artists that you can build like a community with and connect with them. Because one of the certainties, like, and I think when you're an artist, even if you're working with a studio, because so much of it is your personal voice and your personal style, and like so much of it is tied to you as an individual, you're very much like a business owner. And one of the things that I think is guaranteed for most people who run their own business is you're going to have some great years and you're going to have some awful years. Right. And those awful years, like when we talk about failure, or like, oh, he tried to do it or she tried to do it and she ended up quitting, or like took whatever, that they ended up quitting and dropped out, or that idea of failure, it's never like this big event. It's exhaustion. It's being tired of the struggle. And one of the things I can promise you is when you have that community, when you have like that support group, wherever you find it, that struggle, those tough years or that tough month, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Because you can connect with people who have somewhat of an understanding of where you are and like what you're going through. And I've personally, personally, that helps me. I don't know. I mean, is there any truth to that? Or am I making that up?
Oh yeah.
No. It's
Yeah.
being able to talk to other people who've gone through it, have
Yeah.
experience. It makes it like, because generally, like being an artist, whether it's illustrator, gallery, concept, whatever kind of artist you are, it's more of an isolated career in general. So to be able to find a community of people that you are in contact with that can give you honest opinions and direction, that is beautiful and important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's it's the thing that gets you to pursue art in the first place so often is you know being the person in your immediate community who's like the one who draws stuff.
Yeah.
um and it's we there you stand out because not everybody does that, right?
Yeah.
And so going to school for it can sometimes will often put you in contact with other people who are like that with varying
Yeah.
levels of drive. um and then getting out again, you know the continuing education sort of opportunities, to really dig in deeper to the thing that you've been sort of studying generally, are a great opportunity to build that up again, because you can go very quickly to being again the only person who's doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we kind of talk about with art school students often when we talk with them, is I always say, like, this is going to shock you, but as soon as you graduate, there'll be a couple months where there's like this sweet spot where people are still available, but within like 6 months or a year, if you don't cultivate that community on your own, it can really disappear fast.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Not to scare people, it's just because there's so many opportunities to, I think, to create that elsewhere. It's just you have to work a lot harder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of
no,
my
that's so true.
best friends in my undergrad, we discovered pretty quickly that we were the people who were trying to, like, you know he's a graphic designer and a photographer and videographer and other things, but we discovered pretty quickly that we were the ones who had the I'm going to do this by myself kind of ambition. And and we were the ones that we could call and talk to, and the conversation wouldn't be like, I don't know, I haven't drawn anything in a while, I don't. He actually eventually just moved to the same town I live in,
Hmm.
um for that, so that we could just continue to be that for each other.
Yeah.
And then our kids were raised together as like the kids whose parents were did this crazy thing that no one else's parents were doing.
Yeah. Everybody, we are moving on to the third pose, and it's going to be a long one because we're keeping this middle one a tight 20. So please share your work on Instagram. It's hashtag Drawing Hive 226 at Visual Arts Passage. And then please tag like the OG hashtag Drawing Hive, because first of all, when I invite guests, that's the one I send them. I say, check it out. And so please always tag that because it convinces people to come on as guests. We're going to have a ton of great guests coming up soon. I got interviewed for my Italian citizenship last week. And so I have no guests lined up because I was like crazy distracted by that. So apologies, everybody. Somebody asked about like why haven't like the last episode's been posted, and that is 100% why. Someone asked, do you have any suggestions for cultivating community when you are an online art student in a small town? It's a good question. I mean, I think communities exist pretty much everywhere. It's just you kind of got to do your research, and it depends on what town you're in. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes
there are. I was surprised. I was living in my town, in my own little, um, you know, in my attic, basically being creative up here.
Mhm.
And then I did join the the local art society, and went, oh, well, that's where all you people are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just use some of those keywords: art group, art society, drawing session. Like that's, I mean, it's obviously it's easier when you're in like a mid-sized city or
Right.
higher, but um yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know. Are we talking about, like a town of 100 people? Are we talking about, like St. Louis? It's hard to say.
Well, it's
The other,
one of the real reasons people dig into our program so much.
Yeah, to be
'Cause
honest,
it's a big time community. I mean, there's a lot of community in our program.
we really try to make it so that like there's not just like one place where you're connecting and that you're meeting in these Zoom meetings where you're like having phone calls and really truly connecting. We we don't bully people, but we push people really strongly to use their webcams. Because it's just, I mean, it's half of how you communicate,
yeah,
like the facial expression and learning and frankly, on a professional level, it's become a huge thing because we always ask people that work at studios and art directors, and it's like we'll be like, well, when you guys have meetings, like, do people use webcams? And they're like, it's pretty weird when somebody doesn't use a webcam. I had a meeting with somebody not long ago. It wasn't related to this is not a VAP related story, but I had an online meeting where I turned on my webcam and they did not turn on their webcam. And
Oh,
yeah, and I did a 20-minute long meeting with a person where I was streaming my video and they were not streaming their video. And I don't know why I kept my cam on the whole time. Yeah, it was awkward.
but
Yeah.
I love that I feel like I do stuff like that all the time. And then I overthink it. And I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just think about it for days afterwards too.
Yeah.
yeah. You know what you should have done, Timmy, is had the meeting, but every couple minutes, just turned off your camera for a second and turned it on while wearing slightly larger shoulder pads.
I love that.
That's pretty great. Yeah. I did have a VAP call not too long ago with somebody, and I think I sent Cassandra a screenshot of it where it was exactly like that COVID era where the guy that did the court video and he
With the
couldn't get the
cat.
cat, he
Yeah.
couldn't get the cat thing off his face. But this is like the 2024 version of it where theirs was like a bunny rabbit and but it was just a testament to how much technology has changed since then. Cause I was like, this is incredible. Like I can see all their expressions they're making. And I was like, I don't know. Like if you can't fix it, it's fine. We'll get through this. Like, yeah. But I was dying laughing. I thought it was so funny. You meet, and that's how I'm meeting this person.
Right.
I
It is
loved it.
brutal. Somebody asked earlier, we already talked about Cassandra's uh, materials, which is the grabby markers. But John, Adam, what are you guys working with tonight?
That's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah, so I'm working with my little lead stick. It's a Krita color noir, or noir, no, Nero, they call it. It's a very black matte graphite. Um, and then I've got some gouache and watercolor around me as well. So I'll be going in and adding some highlights on this Strathmore tan paper. And I'll probably get desperate at some point to just grab whatever else is next to me. But
And John, what are you using?
Right now, crayons.
ooh,
Uh, I blocked
Like
everything.
Crayola.
No, like oil pastels and crayons. And I would do this. I'm not going to get very far with it, but I would do this and set it up like this and then go back in with like dry brush oil paint. But I blocked everything in by drawing underneath is all with acrylics. And then I can go back into it using even like color pencils and then crayons. They're all a product of oil. And then when I go back in with paint, it kind of melts together. And it's something I do a lot. I used to do it a lot in my illustration work. I don't do it very much. I mostly paint landscapes now, so I don't get to do it very much. But I enjoy it.
I love the expression you got on Kermit there.
Yeah, I like my Kermit. It's kind of funny. But he needs to be painted back into. He's pretty crude as he is right now.
But you're getting that skeptical scrunch of his really nice.
Yeah, that like distaste of
Kermit's amazing. The alternative choice for tonight, which by the way, has my audio cut out since I
No,
like,
no,
completely set
you're
up
good.
and- Right, good. Something was going on. Because my internet's like, I was like, man, I got great internet. This is not a good look.
My
Yeah,
internet
I'll offer to
rocks.
send you a cable. How is that?
Yeah, yeah, I know. For the amount of 200-foot cables I've sent artists over the years, that is kind of embarrassing. No, John and I were talking about like themes for the night, and the other theme was like children's show hosts, and we were talking about doing like not children's show, but like like wholesome stuff, right? And we were gonna do Bob Ross and like Reading Rainbow, and this
LeVar.
is yep, LeVar, yeah. And then this is my question. Is anyone in the audience under the age of 25? Because John and I were talking about this. Under the age of 25, who knows who Mr. Rogers is? Just curious. Chime in. Let us know.
Really
Because
hope
John
you do.
said, because John even said, he goes, do you think people know who Mr. Rogers is?
I have showed
And
my
I was
kids
like,
Mr. Rogers, and
I
they
was
like
like, I'm sure they do.
Oh, can
Okay,
we do
cool.
that theme next week then? Because I love that. Because Pee Wee Herman would be another fun one.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
All right, that's next week's theme for sure.
I think that would be so great.
Yeah.
Oh,
we got a
the
lot of people
original
saying, yeah.
Blues Clues host we got to do because he's
Right.
just been lovely.
Yeah.
He's had like a second little renaissance, hasn't he?
No,
Yeah.
Really is like such a darling guy. It seems like.
Yeah.
Did anyone else hear his Moth Radio Hour story?
No, I need to go find it
Okay,
now.
you should look it up. I can't tell you about it here. For the same, yeah, but it's a risque story that he tells so wholesomely.
I can see that. We went to I went to school with Riley Brown. He does comic books. We'll get him on here. He always says yes, and then he gets all this stuff going on. But he gave us free tickets to the Comic-Con when he was here in Richmond, and so my daughters and we got to meet the current Blue Clues host, and he couldn't have been nicer. And there was no one in line yet, and so we didn't pay for anything. I was like, oh, there he is. You can see him in person. And he just stopped and talked to them. And then the voice of Blue was like doing the Blue noise. Like, I mean, my heart is just, I have a heart for these people because they are amazing. And they love taking the time, and they're so patient with kids. And yeah, so that would be a special episode for me to do.
We should definitely do
Miss
that.
Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
Gosh,
be
it's
one.
gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to.
It's gonna be hard to narrow it down. There's so many great
Yeah.
ones.
This is what I
Nicole
always say.
recommended Bozo the Clown, and Bozo still scares me. Like,
Yeah, we're not doing Bozo.
he was an intense looking clown.
Well, we did it like a couple weeks ago.
And he was inspired by Bozo.
Bozo's my world.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna hit
it would-
every
it-
generation.
I could see how it would be scary. You know who would be fun to do is Steve Irwin. Maybe you could
Oh
do.
yeah.
All right, we gotta have. I agree. That needs to be a different night.
Yeah, I do too.
But that's solid though. I like that.
What if we did like the famous animal explorer? guys.
Love
Yeah.
it. Animal guys, animal people. Yeah, I like that. No, we'll sort it out, but that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that
glad
there's
to
a
hear
couple
so
in
many
here.
people. I was so glad to hear people that Mr. Rogers is still like strongly in the zeitgeist, because I
Yeah.
was also glad to just hear that somebody under 25 is tuning in. The second I asked that, I was like, this could be kind of depressing. If the question should just be, is
Are
anyone
we
under
hip to the
25?
young kids
Yeah,
still?
what's our demo like? I was like, oh yeah. I was like, this is gonna be dark if everybody's just like, nope. Of course I know Mr. Rogers. Yeah.
I had showed my daughter's Pee-wee's Playhouse, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go over. Like Pee-wee was great, and I always loved him, but like, will they
Uh-huh.
find him entertaining? And they totally enjoyed it and had fun, and it was great seeing Lawrence Fishburne as like Larry the Cowboy. Like it was so fun.
Lawrence Fishburne was on that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, look it up. Look it up.
I know very little about Pee-wee.
Oh my God. He was the
I-
best.
So
my
great.
my like good friend who I have traveled with more than anyone in my family, more than my wife, anybody. His name's Sam Weinstein. He was a cinematographer that I worked with for years, and we did a show that we self-produced called Discovering America's Bakeries. I've mentioned it on here before.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was so corny. So we visited over like 500 bakeries around America and would interview, and we did like reality contests for like cake design. I just absolute like garbage internet content, right? For like industry baking stuff.
Uh-huh.
But Sam is more like Pee Wee Herman than anyone I've ever met, right? And so we traveled everywhere together, and we were always trying to save money. So we'd like share rooms and stuff. It was so miserable at the time, but I always think back about it being like, oh, that was so much fun. But he was totally like Pee Wee Herman, and he was the only thing different than him and Pee Wee Herman is he was insanely good looking. Like like
I'm trying
like
to like I'm trying to like
yeah.
wrap my brain around that
And
combo. I don't
imagine Pee Wee Herman, but like in Brad Pitt's body, right? And we would like go out to eat, and we would always, it was exciting because we were in our early 20s, and we would expense things to a client. It was like our first experience of like expensing things to a client, right? And so we would go out and have these like really romantic over the top dinners together. And he would always, someone would come and flirt with, like, no matter where we were, someone would come and flirt with him, right? He was just he was a magnet for it. And when they would leave, he would always be like, Timmy, I think that person really liked you. And I'd be like, you how are, how are you so how are you so delusional? Right. But he would do a thing. We would be in LA every once in a while. This is the most Pee Wee Herman thing he would do. We would be in LA, and whenever we were in LA for work, we have all this gear with us that we would have to take. Like, it was a huge production, and we were always trying to make it as tight as possible, because the less money we spent, the more money we made. And people would always be like, "What are you doing?" And I remember we were at the this I'm trying to remember what that, we were at the Standard Hotel, which in like 2012 was like the cool hotel in LA. So we were kind of staying at this like posh place, and it had this like rooftop bar, and we were up there, and this very beautiful person approached us and was clearly, flirting with Sam. And they asked him like, what do you do? And he was like, I'm a voice actor. And I was like, this is this is weird. And they're like, well, what do you do? Like, that's amazing. And he did this like thing where he was a voice actor forever. Like, he just like built this whole character that does voice acting for like cartoons, commercials, television. And they're like, what is the character you're most proud of um, ever doing? And he was like, oh, it would have to be Chewbacca. And they were like, you did Chewbacca? And he was like, well, all of the new versions of Chewbacca, that's me. I do an amazing Chewbacca. And this is like 20 minutes in to like an interaction with this person that has all been about this totally fake story. And they're like, that's amazing. Can I hear it? And he was like, no, I really don't want to do it. And this went on forever. And they just like got to a point where they were like begging for him to do Chewbacca. And then finally he was like, okay, I never do this, but I'm going to do it. And he just goes, this is his Chewbacca. He goes, Han. Han. His Chewbacca talked. His Chewbacca spoke English.
Did it sound like?
Not at all. It sounded exactly like what I just did.
I wasn't sure if you were
No.
doing a
No,
bad
no, no,
Chewbacca
no,
or
no. I'm not
like.
doing my best version of Chewbacca. I'm doing exactly what he did.
That makes me feel better.
And it immediately was like these people like, and I got to see him do this more than once. It was like a funny bit that he did that just like scared people because they immediately would just be like, oh my God, this guy does this.
He's like delusional.
What? They were like, what? Yeah. And they would leave and you'd just be like, why did you do that? Yeah. So Sam Weinstein, he's actually a very successful cinematographer now. But yeah.
But
Well,
not
can you get him on as a guest so we can hear his Chewbacca?
I will get, that's a great idea, Cassandra. He lives in Brooklyn now, and the most recent project that he shoots all of the Practical Jokers stuff now.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Literally so funny.
I love somebody that's like zany, you know?
Yeah, like that's
He's
fun
just
to be around.
zany, shameless, zany.
To hold on to that long, to just be willing to not be bothered by the fact that you're
I was
pulling
so
everyone's leg
self-conscious.
for that long. Yeah.
I think the thing that was special about it was when I was that age, I was so self-conscious about what other people thought of me. And
Mhm.
he did not have that at all. And I
you
don't
know,
know if it was because he was so handsome.
that friend of mine I was saying who moved to town is he'll like he can be this very buttoned up, deals with corporate clients kind of guy, and he's got this wacky side where like I remember being somewhere with him where we had met these German exchange students, or he had because he was the outgoing one, and he's standing by like the entry to this like hotel party, and he's talking to the Germans. People came up and just started flashing their IDs at him because they thought he was working the door. And the Germans were like, "What? What's that?" And so he taught the Germans on the spot how to card Americans and then how to kick people out if you doubted the veracity of their IDs. They really spent like an hour impersonating security, like letting people in and kicking people out as like a tutorial for these German exchange students.
That's interesting. When I was in college, somebody took my ID, my real ID, and said it was fake, and I just had to go get a new ID.
Oh man.
It was like, yeah, as an
That might
adult
have been
now, I'd
us.
be like, this is absurd. Like, you can't just do that. But
That
yeah.
feels illegal.
I apologize.
No, it's funny. Like, I just think about that now. Like, I think about that now, and I'm like, back then it was just like, oh yeah, this is just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah. But no, that just reminds me of that. They're like, no, we can't give you this fake ID back. And I was like, no, I truly am an adult. On John, I really like the artist you chose for tonight. And I think it's so interesting that you included like a feature of the traveling that happened. And I mean, I don't know, that's an interesting part of growth. Do you all have like a trip that you think of that really changed your art?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What is it?
Well, it was the first time I went to Italy, honestly, like to see,
Really?
so many of those masterpieces that you grow up seeing, like Botticelli and like seeing Michelangelo in person. It's kind of like your first intro to art or a lot of those pieces, and then to see them in person, like that that just cemented. I was like, I've got a lot to learn, and I can't wait to figure it out because it made it so exciting, like looking at the Sistine Chapel and seeing, that it really did exist in person. Like, that I was 15 or 16, so that was really, really exciting then.
Yeah, I remember I was just married by about a year when we went, and I've talked to other people who say a similar thing. I said, like, there are these moments where, like, you're walking through Italy and everything is art everywhere and it's all amazing. And then every time I would, say turn the corner in Florence and there's the David, or like you get through the entire Vatican Museum in Rome and suddenly there's the Sistine Chapel. Every like this the Vatican, in particular, I felt like at some point my eyes just started to glaze because there's something everywhere and you have to go in order. Like there's no skipping ahead. There's no, oh, I want to see this gallery today. It's like, no, you start in the first room and you go all the way to the Sistine Chapel. And I was just exhausted and my neck hurt from looking at all the other ceilings. And then I remember I walked in, the room opened up and I looked up and I just sort of thought, oh, that's why he's Michelangelo. And every time I'd run into, one, it would just be this thing that made you go, oh, wow, this guy's really different.
Yeah, and then it followed up with then a couple years later, I went to London and I went to the National Portrait Gallery, and I got to go see England's Royalty Yearbook, which is, you get to see all the Hans Holbein, and like seeing his work in person, like really blew me away. So yeah, I think it's just getting to see the real thing. Made me want to figure, like, I know I'll never be them, but like it made me want to figure out how to learn to get like them, or learn to get to a certain level.
Yeah. Yeah, so where I went to school is where well, John and Timmy have spoken to students there recently at Rowan University. And it's at the time it's a big university now. At the time it was a small state college. And it was like in the middle of apple orchards, and the nearest city was Philadelphia, about a half hour away, but 45 minutes away was the Brandywine River Museum.
Oh.
And the first time I went to the Brandywine, first time I went to the Brandywine was the first time I committed to myself that I said, well, I'm within driving distance. I can just keep coming back to the Brandywine. And so that's what, if I had like a Saturday with nothing to do as a college student, I would then just drive out again and just stare at the N.C. Wyeths and the Andrew Wyeths.
First time I went to Brandywine, I was with Cassandra.
Yes, that was my first time and it was amazing.
It's such a, I'll say that, the N.C. Wyeths and the Andrew Wyeths, but those opening floors of like 1880s illustration and like some obscure Hudson River School paintings, and these oddball little trompe l'oeil things they've got, like that their whole opening sprawl where there's like some original Maxfield parishes and like all of those the early illustrations like dragged me in almost at like probably as much as the N.C. Wyeths did that first time. Because it was the first time I'd seen work like that looked like, the person doing it had just like stepped away,
Yeah, it's so good, so cool.
Adam, not long after I saw, I've been to Brandywine twice now, and not long after the first time I was there, I saw the 3 generation shows of the Wyeths at the Nelson Atkins Museum.
Oh.
And I was so excited. I went with it wasn't an official school thing. It was just some past students that were in town. I went with Trey Bryan and Jane Radstrom. And I mean, obviously very, we were all really excited, we're going to see mostly excited to see the N.C. Wyeth stuff, and I left there thinking, I think Andrew Wyeth's one of the greatest artists I've ever seen. I was overwhelmed. I mean, not to discard or say anything bad about N.C. Wyeth, but I mean, he was amazing. but I was more impressed with Andrew Wyeth than the three of them. I was
Yeah,
just stunned actually at the emotional content in his work.
yeah. And the he gets a for people who've only ever seen reproductions, he gets a sort of, I don't even say it's a bad rap, that's too subjective, but people just think of him as a slick, tight realist.
Right.
And there's such
Yeah.
abstract quality to them that when you see them at scale, and the contrast between like the crazy little dry brushing and the big initial swaths of pigment, there's so many things going on in his paintings.
Like the grass in Christina's world, like that
Right.
that doesn't come out well in reproduction. To see it in person, it's just that was a painstaking thing that he did, and it's something you look over when you're pulled into that painting.
Cassandra, you'll get a kick out of this, that about 18, it was in the summer right after my freshman year of school, and my dad challenged me to do a master copy of Christina's World. And I mean, I didn't do it the way he did it, but I made it look like it. And you don't realize the design of that, all of that grass, of the directional change, how he made that stuff feel. You don't realize it at first glance. You really get into that painting, there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is like there's all these details, but they really happen within like a larger abstract design sense, right? And
Right.
there's so many interesting spatial things he does with like the way perspective flattens out when you look at things at eye level. And then there's like, for every like dainty dry brush bit, there's some like really like big aggressive shape that it's built around.
Yeah, we were in class, Dale Stefanos and I, on Saturday. Somebody was doing a still life. They had a window in it. And I said, if you're going to do a window, looking, you got to go look at Andrew Wyeth's work. And they kind of had this funny, response to it. It was like, Andrew Wyeth. And I'm like, yeah, that guy painted the best windows ever.
He painted good windows. Yeah.
What made him so good?
Well, they were they were, number one, they were interesting. They weren't, it's just, you could be, something like that could be really hard lined. His croppings of them were really interesting. The window covers, the drapes and all of them, and the way the shadows, he chose really great shadows, making great shapes out of the mullions and all the trim work of it. They just had an emotional quality to them, out of something that's so, you think it's just a window, but he certainly didn't see it that way.
You're right about the emotional quality, though. That it was it was a window that made you feel.
No, and the one too, they're also like constructed right?
Yeah.
Like you can almost feel the lead weights in the wall of that sill. But then the way the light comes through them is so much about light. Like he's doing construction, and he's doing perspective, and he's doing details, but he's also acknowledging that the window is always backlit. It's this amazing atmospheric backlighting of the structure of a window. So it's just another one of those times where like there's so many things going on at the same time formally. That he's conscious of and responding to.
He was a great observer. It's like, you think you can draw and paint a window from memory, but unless you've done it a number of times, it's really complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And I always use that as a lesson. It's like, if you really got to observe something at a really, really high level. And he was a master at it.
I usually have joked to my students that unless you've actually had to install or fix a window, you don't always realize how many parts they have.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
is such a dad comment, by the way.
Yeah.
It's really just that I wasn't a dad yet. I was just a 1930s house owner.
Yeah.
Hey, unfortunately, I've got to duck out a little early tonight. But this has been delightful. Thank you for the
Was-
Muppet theme. I
I was
needed.
just gonna say Cassandra's got to go, and so do like half the people tuning in now. You're gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna go.
Thanks for ending the night,
I'm gonna
Cassandra.
geek out over everybody else's stuff. I'll look at it later.
Yeah.
I had so
No,
much
it's good
fun.
to
This
have-
was
Thank
perfect.
you,
The
Cassandra.
best. See you later, Cassandra.
Night, everybody. See you
I'll
next
see you on
week.
Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That'll
All
always be
right.
great. All right, take care, everyone.
I'm already looking at the artwork. It's awesome. This is
You know, it's
great.
funny, I'm
John,
drawing.
that's looking
I
amazing.
moved over to
John.
Kermit now, and what's weird is I can, as I'm drawing like the shape design of his shadows. John, are you feeling this too? Like, I suddenly realize I'm drawing a hand.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like suddenly I can feel the fingertips here and the pinch of the thumb and this scrunch, like the forces of the hand inside of it. That that I started off looking at design shapes, and now suddenly I'm going, oh, that's a hand.
This is,
That's
it's
so
just,
funny.
this is a different world than what I usually, the way I work. I mean, I used to do, be able to do stuff like, used to get paid to do stuff like this for the illustration world all the time. But recently, this is really a different thing for me. And I thought it would be fun tonight, to draw and paint this. And then one of the reasons I chose a very different material is I wanted it to be, the whole thing to be kind of foreign to me. And I haven't done this approach or technique very often in a long time. And in kind of a sick way, I'm really enjoying it. It's doing a terrible piece, but it's kind of fun.
I have to ask a question because I'm looking at the artwork that people posted. It's great, but multiple people have posted animal as if he's smoking. What is he holding in his hand? He's not smoking, is he?
I think it's drumsticks,
Oh yeah.
but they're Muppet drumsticks.
I was so confused.
I think there is drumsticks, but I'm not
Yeah,
100% convinced.
it cracks me up. I was like, oh, well, it's awesome either way.
I got a piece of
But, let's assume that they were drums. We chose an image with drumsticks.
Right.
Yeah.
As I'm drawing Kermit's eyes, I'm going to throw in a piece of frog trivia because, when I
Yeah.
got I would say wrote my first book. I wrote my first published book. The Froggies Do Not Want to Sleep, and I chose frog. I needed something that jumped up and down, but I chose frogs instead of bunny rabbits because frogs have fingers, so they can play accordion and operate machinery, and
Oh, that's really interesting. Like it's way easier as far as the world building goes. It's more functional.
yeah, like rabbit paws couldn't do the same kinds of things that frogs can do.
Yeah.
But then then I realized halfway through my thumbnails, one thing frogs can't do in my bedtime book about going to sleep. They don't close their eyes.
Do they not?
They close their pupils. So this Kermit the Frog shape here, that's
Yeah.
actually what a squint looks like in frog eyes.
Really?
Yeah, the iris closes. And so then my sketchbooks are loaded with these experiments with like, can you make a frog look like he's like squinting and smiling just in his eyes by changing the shape of the pupil? But it was a close call. I totally committed to this one. Wait a minute. They don't close their eyes and I need them to fall asleep at the end?
Oops.
Like we just sold this and I don't know if they can I don't know how they sleep yet.
That's pretty funny. That's awesome. How did you solve it?
So all right, I'm gonna draw my frog next to Kermit.
Yeah.
So like if that's the eye,
Yeah.
Look, he's smiling. Like he's squinting in a kind of perplexed way at you. So I
Yeah.
sort of just treated the pupil shape as an expressive thing.
Yeah.
And luckily it turned into an expressive frog. So then, but I just had to make sure that earlier on I had lots of like wide
Yeah.
round-eyed frogs,
Oh.
so that every time I changed the shape of the pupil, something else would happen.
Man, it would have been Adam, it's so interesting because if you had not done any research, I mean, you would have given them eyelids, right?
Probably, right? But the eyelids would have looked kind of weird, and I've been like, huh, how do frogs do that? And then realized that's
Yeah.
why Kermit's eyes look like this.
Yeah.
Like Kermit's actually anatomically correct in that as a Muppet, he doesn't have eyelids.
That's wild. I'm gonna Google as soon as this is over, I'm gonna Google Kermit sleeping and see if there's ever been he's ever been featured sleeping and how they
Right.
did it. Yeah.
See, now there you go, like showing up with actual smart problem solving. It never dawned on me in this whole process to
Yeah. So in hindsight being 2020, do you think if you had known that you would have gone with rabbits?
I would have tested it out, but they would have been it would have yeah. I don't know. Because I really wanted them to be able to like you know, playing accordion was very important to the plot of my nature book.
Someone asked just a mind-blowing question, which is what's up with Kermit's weird little collar thing? Which is my entire life I've just accepted that
Right.
Kermit has like a collar that's like part of his body.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know
no,
that's
it just all frogs have collars, you know?
right.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, they
you didn't know that?
amphibian formal wear.
That's super interesting. I would love to know the answer to that. We're not going to be able to give it to you. But
I,
it,
I I almost you know what I wonder? I wonder if it has to do with why houses have moldings.
I kind of assumed it was because it's like how his head fit on the
Right?
costume.
It's like that seam was ugly, but if he had a collar, it hid it.
It definitely like obscures something, right?
Right.
I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna do some do some Googling to see what's going on.
Hmm.
Oh, here we go. His triangle pointed collar was added at the time to make him seem more frog-like and to conceal the seam between his head and body.
Ah,
There you
it's
go. It just the seam was there. They needed something to obscure it. It's wild is that they got away with that collar, which the collar looks really weird, but it's wild we don't have like a Kermit that just is always wearing like an ascot or a
right,
scarf,
right.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else gets to hide theirs under fur or like, a string of pearls or their bows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's really interesting because then you would assume that this is a problem that all of the Muppets have.
Right.
Very smart, Adam. I wouldn't have thought about that. This is an issue that all Muppets had probably in the early days of the
Right.
Muppets.
Like Rolf the dog. Well, actually, I think Rolf probably wears I think he's got a shirt collar or something, doesn't he?
I would guess that some of them were like the neck can be like pretty loose. I would guess
Yeah.
the seam is not as critical as like a frog's neck. I don't know.
Right.
Honestly, I still don't get it.
I still think like the furrier they are, the more they can get away with too, right?
I just think that if you had presented Jim Henson with like a mood board of like, okay, here are the ways we can hide the seam,
Right.
that this one, I would have guessed there's no way this one's gonna win.
That's right.
Right? Don't you agree? It's
Yeah.
pretty like over the top.
Yeah,
That's
it
interesting.
is like sort of vaguely jester hat like,
Yeah.
but then he's not the court jester of the group.
That's such a great question. I've never thought about that. Um, everybody, in about 5 minutes, we're gonna head to Instagram. So please start posting your work. It's hashtag Drawing Hive 226, hashtag Drawing Hive and Average Arts Passage. Please post it with all those tags. We're gonna check it out. I'm looking forward to it. That's really interesting, Adam. So when you did that first project on frogs, what generated that? Were you working with a publishing house or an author, or was that
Oh
like
no, I was the
self-generated?
author on that one.
You were the author on it?
Yeah, I wanted to write an anti-bedtime book.
Okay.
There was a string of like this social media trend of parents complaining about how they read their, I don't know, they hated reading the same book over and over again to their kid, and it was supposed to put them to sleep, but instead it just wound them up. And,
Yeah.
and all I thought was like, yeah, yes, because you're bonding. Like,
Mhm.
this isn't actually supposed to be like hypnosis that puts your child to sleep. This is,
Yeah.
reading and fun, and like it shouldn't feel like, like reading shouldn't be this, the thing that actually punishes you and sends you to bed at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I thought of like, if there is a parent who feels that way, it's like an aunt and uncle's job to give a book for Christmas or a birthday
Mhm.
that just wakes their kid up at bedtime. And
Yeah.
but there were so many times when I was a kid that I just laughed myself into exhaustion and fell asleep.
That's funny.
And so I and some of that, a lot, when my mom read stories, she did voices for everybody and everything.
Yeah.
My dad he actually made up bedtime stories.
Uh-huh.
As did his this family friend of ours, his college friend Brewster. And like Brewster's stories were so funny that sometimes you got exhausted and fell asleep. There were a couple times where my younger brother and I like ran out of air, hyperventilated, and threw up from how much we were laughing.
Were you kind of a high maintenance kid, Adam?
What was that?
Were you kind of a high maintenance kid?
I threw up on everywhere
You
as a
threw up because you were
I,
like too excited?
I was just, but I was an easily car sick kid.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
and then yeah, but I think I this has much more to do with Brewster's storytelling than my digestive tract. They really were like,
Yeah.
you really did just laugh yourself into exhaustion
Yeah.
with these things he would make up.
That's funny. I had to do a like a good night routine with my nephew not too long ago. And we did a we did the books, and the books, like, I get too into it. I kind of, yeah, you nailed it. I kind of woke him up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we had to do a sleep cast. Are you into the sleep casting world?
No.
Are you familiar with it?
No, you know what I
It's
would
just like a podcast. It's just like a recorded audio of like something that relaxes you. But my brother, told me, he was like, "Look, you read a story, don't get too into it." And he was like, if the story doesn't work, do a sleep cast, and gives me like the Calm app and like Headspace and stuff.
right.
Um, and the sleep cast is called Bulldozer, and it's about a bulldozer that like works in a lot. And it was so funny it out. My nephew was like, "Oh my God, you know Bulldozer too?" And I'm like, "Yeah, everybody knows Bulldozer," you know. But yeah, it is funny. There's an art to putting those kids to sleep, because as an uncle, it's very fun to put on a show.
Oh yeah.
And so but I don't see the nasty side of that too often. So
Yeah, I looked at it as I thought as a dad I should put on the show too. So I didn't
yeah,
mind reading the same book like 4 times, doing the same. You had to be careful though. Sometimes I would make voices, and by the end of the night I'd be like, oh man, all right, we can't do that one again because
yeah, yeah.
because the chain smoking sounding rabbit is starting to hurt.
I was gonna say I've done some stuff where I'm like, oh, this is fun, and then I look and he's terrified,
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, I thought we were having fun. I'm sorry.
right.
All right,
My
everybody.
biggest memories from reading stories to my kids at night is my remember my youngest son, who's 10 years younger than my oldest, would
Yeah.
I would fall asleep all the time. And he would get really upset with me, and just him waking me up, just hitting me to wake me up. But the books did a perfect job on me every night. I just immediately fall
funny.
asleep. He did not like that.
That's funny.
One of the ongoing jokes in my family was that we would make my dad tell us make up stories, and sometimes he just they were great and they were hilarious, and then there were nights where he just didn't have the energy for it after working all day. And so there was this one point where he's telling us a story, and then he got quiet, and then he just said, "And then the big doggy came out." There's no dog in the story that he's telling, like, and so we would do this, and we would make him tell stories, and he would fall asleep while telling us a story, and
Oh,
then
and just like say whatever was like half
yeah,
dreaming
just
talk.
like dreamily something would come out.
Oh man,
So
that's pretty
the
good.
big doggy came out. It's like code in our house, in our extended family.
Yeah.
My brothers and I all have this very distinct memory of that the big doggy came out night. We don't remember the actual story he was telling.
Yeah, it's just the big dog. That's hilarious. That's funny. I mean yeah, story time with kids is really what separates the most creative adults from the others.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I already think about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like Harry Potter. I'm so excited for that chapter of like being able to go through that franchise. Yeah. All right, you guys ready to see some art?
Yeah.
Let's do it. We got some good stuff. All right.
All right.
I'm going to refresh it one more time. Here we go. Oh, I'm glad I did.
Oh,
That's
wow.
awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That is
I
Oh,
love
that
fabulous.
is
that.
great.
That's so good.
That's how those should be done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that earlier.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry, everybody. I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna fix the audio really quick. All right. Sorry.
But
That
was
kind of
beautiful.
scared me. All right. That's great.
Man, I'm looking at all these. I'm gonna have to go back and paint mine now. These are too good. They're so much better.
Mm.
That's great.
That's great. Awesome stuff.
Oh, killer.
wow.
Fozzie.
Oh, that's really
That's
nice.
amazing, Fozzie. Oh, that's great. Nice, June.
Mhm.
Great work, June.
June.
Animal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's little flyaways. Oh, man.
The Elmo on fire. Elmo on fire is amazing.
This was a good idea.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, those were wonderful too.
Nice. Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
fun.
good. Miss Piggy is taking the stage on that one.
Yes.
Nice.
Ozzy. Oh,
Oh,
nice.
that's awesome.
Uh-huh.
Oh, some old stuff.
Mm.
That's good stuff.
Nice. Ooh, it's got lovely
Amazing.
character.
Yeah, it
That's
does,
great.
doesn't it? That captured Fozzie.
Yes.
That also captured Fozzie. Some new
Yeah,
people
that's good.
tonight. A lot of new people after our Halloween, our little Halloween break. So welcome.
This is great. Oh, nice.
That's great. I love it.
Ah, great.
Oh man, Xander, that's
Oh,
awesome.
Xander.
Whoa.
That's fun.
Xander, you're fired.
This is what I'm talking about.
Nice, Aaron.
Yeah. Gee.
That's awesome.
Pretty punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is an animal without parental advisory. Yeah.
Nice.
That's great too.
Yeah.
Nice, Terry.
Nice, Terry.
Very well done.
DeFoz.
Yeah. Look, he's got such great shifting to his weight there, too.
Yeah.
Nice. Neato.
Great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. That's great.
Nice.
Man, people killed it with Fozzie today.
Yeah, there's some great Fozzies tonight.
Oh, that's
That's nice.
fun.
Ooh, that's
I love
cool.
that texture.
Right.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a nice drawing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Nice, Nicole.
Oh, nice, Nicole.
That's great. Fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks for going off the beaten path. That's fun. That I sent that was in the newsletter. Yeah.
Oh, Joan, that's really nice too.
Oh, well
Oh
done.
my gosh,
Wow.
Aaron, that's killer.
Great, Aaron. Terry. Maybe it was a French fry.
I think it might have been. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll never know. It wasn't a cigarette though, for the
Oh,
record.
nice, Andy.
Yeah.
And Andy's got Mana Mana in the background.
No. Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Ooh, lovely. Got her little nose scrunching.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome.
That's
Got
fun.
it on the panels. That's a good Fozzie.
Oh, that's nice, Nicole.
I love that one. That's awesome.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
That's so cool.
The dimension on that one's amazing.
It
Like,
really
well,
is.
yeah. Yes.
Felicity, that's
Nice.
wild.
That's great.
That's great.
Wow, Pete.
Killer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Good stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Ozzy.
Yeah.
Animal.
Ooh.
Oh, that's like a
Yeah.
Nirvana. It's
I
like a
love
Kurt Cobain animal. Love it. Good stuff, Gary.
Sorry.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, great.
It
I love those.
That's a winner right there.
Yeah.
I love
really is,
that
isn't
one.
it? That gets the whoa.
I love that one.
That's awesome. All right, last week. Amazing.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff's machine. Animal. I think
So
animal,
good.
Nice.
Animal cleaned up tonight. That's good.
Ooh.
Bert.
Yeah.
Bert and Ernie. Oh, I
Those are
can tell
good.
this one's gonna blow me away. Wow.
There you
Whoa.
go, Peter.
Killed it with that one.
Beautiful. Oh, that's what.
Oh, jeez.
Very well done.
Everybody wanted to draw tonight.
Wow, Gary. Yeah, and they're putting your Fozzie prediction to bed.
Yeah, I would say the Fozzie's maybe the winner of the night.
Yeah. Nice one there too.
Yeah, that was good from last week. That is awesome. Melissa,
Oh, wow.
whoa, that's killer. That's so great. That's ready. Go to the Muppet
Yeah.
Foundation. Sell them that.
Yeah. That's fabulous.
I also love that we don't have to hear it, but we know that the song to this is System of a Down.
Yeah, right.
This is a great song you chose.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
Sally, that's awesome.
Good one.
Yeah,
Oh, Marcy.
Oh, Marcy.
that's great.
Well done.
Love it. Awesome, Melissa. Oh, Padma, killer.
Oh, lovely, Padma.
Nice.
Nice.
Good to see it. Great,
Oh,
Terry.
that's great, Terry.
Killer. Nicole, animal is perfect for you.
Yes.
Yep. Right subject matter.
Yeah. Nice. Is that
Mhm.
Bert or is that Ernie? Bert. There
Bert.
we go.
That's fine.
Animal. Animal. Gosh, Pete, you kill it with the
Pete.
light. The light on Pete's stuff.
Nice, Pete.
Beautiful.
Kermit. Kermit. All right. What a great one to end on.
Nice.
This
Very
is great.
fun, everybody.
Everybody,
that was
thank you
great.
so much. Just a
Timmy, one
reminder-
more time before we leave.
Yeah, I just want to say,
The
just
sale.
a reminder. Enrollment ends. Or, I mean, no, what am I saying? Enrollment happens now for all of you. So if you want to sign up, it's $799. It's usually $1,200. That's $400 off. It's going to be $400 off every single time you take a class with us going forward after that, as long as you stay enrolled. So if you want to do that, the code is Cyber400. Go check out the new visual development course and character design that we're offering. And if your speed is more fine arts or illustration, go to visualartspassage.com, check it out. For 48 hours, we're going to let you get a head start on this sale because you drew with us tonight, which means you are committed to getting better at drawing and painting and hanging out with a community of artists. So don't sleep on it. Jump on it now. Or, wait until you got to get in line with everybody else. And these are going to sell out. I promise you that. So if you're unsure, if you have questions, give us a phone call. We're free all day tomorrow, all weekend. We'll answer. We'll talk. So, Adam,
Thank you,
John,
Adam.
this was fun.
Yep.
Fun.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Timmy.
guys.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Cassandra, who's already left.
Yeah, that was so much good. All right, everybody,
Yeah.
have a good night.
See ya.
Night.
Bye.